Truth and love here. Krista Allura here. We're learning thyself, okay? And I'm here to tell you things I'm learning about myself in the hopes and confidence that it'll help you along your journey, okay? I feel like rapid spitfire right now, but I just having a lot of downloads come through to me, so thank you in advance for your patience. I hope you guys are doing well. I pray you have a blessed day so far, okay? Inhale. Slowly exhale. All right. I want to talk about what a lot of people are talking about when it comes to relationships and being submissive. Okay. There's some things I want to dismantle and some things I want to shed light on. Specifically when it comes to women. When we hear the words submit to your man, because we are in a consistent state of trauma, we are living in survival mode 24/7, both men and women. But specifically women and specifically black women, we are in 24/7 survival mode. And so when we hear the word submit, immediately we're ready to take out every sword we have, take out every bullet and gun we have, take out every weapon we have, but our main weapon is our mouths, okay? But we're here to take out every piece of artillery we have on us to protect us from this idea of submission. A lot of women don't realize that even when they hear the word submit, it does something to us on a deeper level, on a subconscious level that we're not even 100% aware of. When we hear certain words and certain things, it puts us in a deeper state of survival mode, because there have been a lot of programming of misinformation that has gone with certain words, such as being submissive, especially to your man, your husband, your boyfriend, whatever, right? And so when anybody hears the word submit, it throws us off so much so that we don't even want to have a different perspective on the word submission. We just run away from it. The word submission for most women is like a handler or a monster that we have to run away from, because you have to understand, and I will talk about this quite a bit throughout my videos, when it comes to women being abused, and we understand that 8 times out of 10 we're usually smaller than men. We're not as physically strong as men in most cases, when it comes to lifting things up or getting out of a man's grip. See, that's what comes up for a lot of women when we hear submission, is that we are in a man's grip. We are 100% under his spell, under his control, and our body is no longer our bodies anymore. That's the kind of shit that comes up in the back of a woman's mind when we hear submission or to submit. So I would like to break it down because, excuse me, even men have it incorrect, that a man needs a woman to submit to everything he does and says. No, you're very incorrect on that. Let me just give you the most balanced perspective I can give to you about this. And if right now you're triggered just by hearing the word, I would invite you to sit with your spine straight or stand with your spine straight and inhale deep. And slowly exhale. I'm gonna really break it down for you right now. If you think about it, When you have to fill out an application for a job, or you have to fill out an application to go to school, what are you doing with it when you hand it in? You are submitting it, okay? What you're doing is you're writing down pieces of yourself, information, you're putting it on this paper, and you are submitting it to the people who you hope and pray that will qualify you to be able to work with them in order to get to another level or another place in your life. That's very basic. What you're doing is you're taking information and you are submitting it. You are willingly giving your information to somebody or some people or some place that you would like to work with and learn with in order for you to get to the next level of your life. That is submission. We submit all the time. Both men and women do this, right? So with that being said, when it comes to getting into a relationship with a man and getting in a relationship with a woman, submission is not just a womanly thing. Submission is a human thing. Because both men and women have to submit at some point in their life. So when it comes to a relationship between a man and a woman, they both have to submit to each other. Here's what I mean. If a woman has her role and has her position, then a man has to be able to submit certain information in order for her to be able to qualify him. And the same thing that's opposite. In order for a man to qualify a woman, she would have to submit certain information or parts of herself and parts of himself in order for them to be able to qualify each other for a positive, healthy relationship or whatever kind of relationship you're looking for. Okay? So if you were to say a woman's role is to be at home, to nurture the home, to nurture the man, to nurture and take care of the children, then there would be certain things that she would have to submit in order for him to look at and say, okay, you're qualified. He would look at how well you take care of your hygiene, how well you take care and clean your home, how well do you speak in order for you to be able to be the best example you can possibly be to his children. He wants to know how well you can cook and if you need help with cooking well at all, if he's not a chef himself. There are circumstances, of course. And I'm just throwing out examples. He wants to know that you are qualified to take care of the headquarters to which he rests his head at night. Okay? Men, you have to submit too. If you want a really good woman and your role is to provide, your role is to go out and do the grungy work. Your role is to go out and do whatever you need to do to make sure that you come home with everything that home is going to need to continue to thrive and survive with, whether it's rent money, whether it's the food, whatever it is. Your position is to provide. She needs to make sure that you are qualified enough to provide for her in order for her to be able to keep up on the headquarters in which you both rest your head. She wants to make sure that you're not dipping your dick everywhere you can because she won't accept negative spirits and off spirits to come up in that house. She wants to make sure that when you come home, that she is going to be safe. How well do you carry a conversation without getting offended too easily? You are going to have to submit this information to her. When men and women both submit to each other, it is about get willing. It is about being willing to give the most honest pieces of information about each other so that you both can look at each other's truth and see if you are aligned with that truth. That is what submission is. Now, let's look on a deeper level. We have to understand, whether we want to admit it or not, we have a relationship with ourselves because we have a relationship with God. Okay? We have a relationship with ourselves, meaning that when we come home and we're single, we know ourselves enough to say, okay, well, I'm going to get this work done. I'm going to get that work done. When I get home or when I'm finished with my work, I know I'm going to want some ice cream, and to watch my favorite movie afterwards and this, that, and the third, right? We have a relationship with ourselves. We know ourselves enough to know that, okay, much like, you would want your spouse to go do some things for you, you go and do it for yourself. Or you may not do it for yourself at all. You have to assess the relationship you have with yourself before you can even think about what your relationship would look like with somebody else. So when you submit to yourself, what part of yourself are you truly submitting to? Are you submitting to God or are you submitting to your flesh? And which one are you submitting to more consistently? If you want the healthiest relationship you can ever have, then it would be my invite for you to evaluate the relationship that you have with yourself and where your commitment and submission really lies. How often do you pray? How often do you meditate? How often do you use positive affirmations? How well do you speak of yourself? How well do you think and feel of yourself? How often do you try to heal yourself? How much work and investment do you put in on yourself? That all has to do with submission and consistency of work and investment within yourself before anybody else even comes into the picture. When you are submissive, you can be submissive to God in prayer and in meditation. Dear God, I admit that I overindulge in this, that, and the third. I admit that I am imbalanced in this area of my life. So now I am in that moment submitting that honesty to God and within confidence that God will help me to alchemize that situation and help me to turn that around for myself so that I can better myself. And when we are not submissive to God, we can be submissive to our flesh, our ego. Oh, I need this indulgence because that's me. That's my identity. Oh, I need me these eyelashes. I need me these cigarettes. I need this. I need that. And you submit to your flesh without the worries or repercussions of the consequences that are going to come with it. So evaluate where you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Reevaluate your whole self and understand that a lot of times, when women have a hard time submitting to a man, it's because she's having a hard time swallowing her own truth. Because the truth is, she's terrified. She's hurt. She's traumatized. And she don't know how to admit to that. And if she don't know how to admit to it, she don't know what to do with it except to cover it up with a ton of makeup, with overindulging in alcohol, with being somebody that she truly isn't. So men, if you talk about submission and you're actually reasonable about it, and you're not trying to take over her life, and you actually have real respect for a woman's mind, body, and spirit, please be patient. Please be patient with women because they are terrified. You have to understand, if you're a big man, if you're strong, immediately, as much as she wants that, is just as much, if not even more, terrified of it, and does not know how to submit to her own truth. She doesn't yet know how to submit to God in order for God to take those indulgences. Because she's saying subconsciously to herself, well, if God didn't protect me from all the times I was raped, or for all the times I was beaten, or for all the times this happened and that happened, and I was just a child, she's saying, I was just a child. If God didn't protect me then, why would I submit to God now and trust that he's going to protect me with a man like you? That is what's going through a woman's mind subconsciously and even consciously, but on the low. She's not going to let you know anything weak about her. And men, when it comes to submitting to your woman, and when it comes to submitting to God, talk to God and tell him your discrepancies when it comes to women. My mother treated me like this. My mother ain't never pumped me up. My mother ain't never sat there and said that she was on my side just because I was a boy, just because I exist as a boy who's supposed to grow up to be a man. My mother never helped me out. My mother always discriminated against me. My mother used to whoop my ass, whatever that looked like, or when little boys get abused. Abuse happens in so many ways, in so many forms, and we just don't get over it. We never choose to get through it a lot of times. So the men are terrified, but they won't fucking show that shit. Men, submit to God. Submit that anger that you have towards women. So let God know that you are used to being disrespected and coddled by women. You are used to the women in your life telling you what to do, but never actually trusting the power within you. Tell God why you're mad at him for allowing these women to raise you. But don't let that leak into your relationship. When men and women become scared, we become imbalanced. When women feel unsafe, they become more masculine, as an example. When men feel disrespected, they become a little bit more feminine. Okay? We're seeing it happen 24/7. So to gain back that balance is to simply submit your most honest feelings to God. And when you submit to God, you are saying you are willing to work with God on your inner healing and your personal issues so that they don't leak into any other relationship. God is allowing you to get angry with him, to be on his chest and say, this is why I'm mad, God. This is why I'm hurt. This is why I'm traumatized. Now help me. Help me understand why. And when you submit, that's when you now have to sacrifice. You start to sacrifice your indulgences. You start to sacrifice who you think you are into becoming who you truly are. And if something is truly meant for you, when you sacrifice it, when something is truly meant for you, when you get into it, into your purest form, whatever's truly meant for you will come back to you in its truest form because you surrendered it and you gave it to God to begin with. And so when we continue to surrender and submit to God, that doesn't mean we have to be religious. That doesn't mean we have to get on our knees. That doesn't mean we have to read every corner of the Bible and live by it 100% word for word. But it does mean that we need to keep constant communication with the divine. Just keep constant communication with the divine. And you become more divine within yourself, then you won't have to hide any truth about yourself when it comes to getting with a man or getting with a woman. You are so proud of who you are today that if you were to submit your truth to him and him to her, and you both see that something doesn't align, then you guys can part ways peacefully. And then you may bump into somebody who you do align with. And then we don't have to be at war with each other when it comes to men versus women, women versus men. Okay? That is the download in divinity that came through me when it comes to submission in relationships between men and women. I pray that you guys have really got something from this. I know I did. Please understand that I don't know it all, but I know enough to allow God to come through to me. And trust me, the message that I'm giving to you guys, I'm soaking in the information for myself as well. Okay? I love you guys very much. Stay healthy, stay honest, learn thyself, heal thyself, know thyself. Peace.